It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thanks for joining us, folks. You know, every time I do this show, I tell you, I learn from my show. And today, I'm really excited about this show because we're going to learn a lot about the environment, but someone said to me many years ago, facts are ugly things. And today we're going to talk about facts. As you know, I've always welcomed any comments. My email, sam@ssptv.com. I would be more than happy to listen to some of your remarks about the show today. I'm really excited about it. We have Gregory Wrightstone, and he wrote the book, Inconvenient Facts, the science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Okay, now don't get excited, but you're going to find out about facts today. But today, we have Gregory here, and a good friend of mine who called me about having Gregory on the show, Dr. David Moylan, who is the Schuylkill County coroner. Dave, how you doing?
Sam, always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And off camera, we were talking about how long we've known each other.
Yeah, so
I can't believe it's 5 years.
Yeah.
But
and I get better looking. What's going on with you? I don't understand.
yeah, I think you've got a portrait somewhere in your house. You
yes,
know that.
I kiss it every morning. Yeah.
But back in 2014, when we first met, and I was running for U.S. Congress against Matthew Cartwright, one of the issues facing Northeast Pennsylvania is the use of our natural resources, in particular coal. And I figure I better educate myself on this particular topic. So I went out to a climate conference out in Las Vegas. It was a junket, I guess, of sorts. But I learned quite a lot. It was a whole week out there. And then having got an interest in the field, I've been following it ever since. And last September, Gregory and I met out in St. Louis at the Eagle Forum Council meeting. And he gave a spellbinding presentation there. And I thought, boy, he would be, if I could get him to come in and talk to us in Northeast Pennsylvania. And on his communications on the email, there's a quote from Voltaire. I thought it was very telling. It is dangerous to be right in matters where established men are wrong.
Yeah.
And the title of the book that we're going to learn about today, Inconvenient Facts. I just saw Joe Biden, who's running for president. He was at the Iowa State Fair, and he was up on the podium, and he said, "We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts." And without much further ado, could you comment on that as you explain your findings for us?
It's quite interesting. Gregory, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks so much. Before we get started here, I think it'd be interesting to find out why I wrote the book. I'm a geologist, 35 years experience. As a geologist, I knew that some of what we were being told about climate change was just wrong, and I suspected other things were. And so the book and my further commentaries I've been writing, I've been traveling the country, just recently in South Carolina, North Carolina, today Northeast PA, I was in Wichita last week. What's driven me for this was the search for the truth, for the search for the climate facts. And when I started out, I didn't trust anybody. I went back to the base data, NASA, NOAA, peer-reviewed studies to find out what the truth was about climate change. And frankly, I was shocked what I found. What I found was many of the things we're being told in the media and by government sources are just contradicted by science, facts, and data. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go forward. What really got me, whenever I got to researching what is actually going on with forest fires and wildfires, I was shocked. It was the science, the facts, and the data tell us that forest fires, the number of fires, have been in decline. We're being told flat out, absolutely no discussion, global warming's increasing the rate of fires. And I looked at that and I said, and even in California, the number of fires in California have declined by 50% in the last 30 years. declined in California. And I got to that and I looked at it and I said, my God, they're lying to us. If they're lying to us about something that's so easily disproved about this, what else are they lying to us about? And it turns out there's quite a bit of this. And so this search for the truth is what led to the book. I've been lifted up by the success we've had. And a book isn't supposed to be doing sales like it has. It's supposed to be sell a whole bunch at the beginning and then it declines. Our sales have been going up and up and up. It's because of people talking about it.
For truth. I'm always confused about this. Why do you think the Main Street media and these people would lie about this? I mean, what do they have to gain, Gregory?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. You're as qualified as I am to answer that question. Any of your viewers right now are qualified. And we can come up with a lot of things. I provide the science, the facts, and the data that says they are lying. Yeah. Is it a quest for the quest for power, increasing taxation? I open my book up with a quote from H.L. Mencken, and just to paraphrase, H.L. Mencken said that governments and institutions need to create what he called imaginary hobgoblins of alarm, which they use to frighten the population. And we need a frightened population, an alarmed population, in order for them to otherwise accept otherwise onerous and painful things like the Green New Deal, the Paris Climate Accord. Why in the world would America and our people accept something like this that will economically cripple our country, that will cause every single person to spend more by a lot, that will increase our taxation, we'll have loss of freedoms? Why would we do that? The only reason we would do it, if we're frightened enough and alarmed enough and believe that we're sitting on this edge of a climate apocalypse, we're on the edge of a precipice, and if we don't stop what I call our sins of emission, if we don't stop adding CO2, well, we're going to step off into this void of one climate catastrophe after the other. So they're doing a great job frightening the population.
Oh, excellent job. So when do you learn your lesson? And here's what I'm saying. My company, as a television station, we depend on advertisers, okay? And we hope that we're giving them product, all right? So now in the industry, I've been around a while, and from what I hear internally, okay, I had, as I said, the experience of working with Jack Palance for many years and met a lot of people from ABC, NBC, you name it. The ratings are going down the tubes, okay? New York Times is a joke as far as I'm concerned, okay? And when I say that is I don't mean the people I mean their modus operandi is not a good one, all right? So they're losing subscriptions. CNN is practically nothing. MSNBC is practically nothing. So when do you learn a lesson? If I was the owner and I would say, wait a minute, why don't we just present facts? Truth facts. I believe in certain things, but I don't think I should throw it on my viewers. I want to present facts, okay? And like I said at the beginning of the story, if somebody has anything the opposite of what you're saying, I'm more than happy to say. When do we learn our lesson?
Yeah, you're raising a great question. I don't know when it'll come. I'm very optimistic about getting my side of the story out, and that is, again, scientific, fact-based side of the story. I'm uplifted by the people I meet. As I'm traveling around, just random people on the airplanes, whatever. When I sit down next to somebody, I find that the average person is thirsty for unbiased, unfiltered facts. Right. And when I travel, Sam, I usually carry 4 or 5 books with me in my bag, and I rarely get to my destination having any books left. Yeah. People are desperate for this information and are so thankful. Just this morning in the hotel, ran into a gentleman. We started talking, and he was profuse. He says, "I'm going to go buy that book." He said 3 times, "Thank you for doing what you're doing." And I see this all over. I think the people of the United States and the world are growing sick of this unrelenting daily barrage of climate alarmism. And we see, terrible. Oh, it's awful.
When you're doing an autopsy, you're looking at facts. You're saying this was the cause of death. Okay, that's a fact. okay, and you do great with that. So here we have facts, and I remember I emphasized the facts, okay. So when you said why you wrote the book. Once again, repeat that, why you wrote this book.
It was a search for the climate truth.
I don't care whether Al Gore was Democrat, Republican. It doesn't make any difference. It's what he said and what he did and the millions of dollars he made off it, okay? And you don't hear that much from the press, okay, what he made off all of that stuff. Did you, when you wrote this book, did you get people who said, wait a minute, your fact number 3 is wrong and your fact number 7 is wrong, okay? Did anyone question these facts?
They have not. They're unassailable. I've got 14 pages of references.
I love it.
I take, my data comes from NASA, NOAA, peer-reviewed studies.
Yeah.
I present the evidence, and it's not that the people, it's called the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. A lot came from that. Mm-hmm. It's not that they dispute this. They just don't want to, they don't want you to know that the warming trend we're in, for example, we're in a general warming trend. They don't want you to know it started over 300 years ago. They don't want you to know it started in the late 17th century, and that the warming for the first 200 years had to be, or 250 years, had to be entirely naturally driven at about the same rate as we've seen since the mid 20th century is when we really started adding CO2. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that the previous warming periods we've seen, the medieval warm period, the Roman warm period, the Minoan, each one of those warming periods correlated to great rises in civilization. There's a strong correlation between the rise and fall of temperature and the rise and fall of civilizations. Other warming periods were warmer than we are today, and civilization thrived. Food was bountiful. Food was plentiful. Which is just opposite of what we're being told. We're being told, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's going to get too warm and there will be famine, there will be death and despair.
Glaciers are melting.
They are.
Yeah.
But that historically, we know that did not occur. Historically, we knew that each warming period in the past translated to prosperity and bounty. And we should see the same thing again. And we are. We're seeing an Earth, if we look in the rearview mirror, just about every category we look at, it's getting better and better and better. Life expectancy, crop growth, food production, whatever, pollution decline, fire decline, famine decline, and even drought is in decline. Just opposite of what they're being told. And it's that mission. I almost sound like sometimes like I'm an old-time evangelist spreading the good news of the gospel of a thriving and prospering
God
earth.
God forbid you should do that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want that to happen. No good news and anything about God. We don't want that to happen. Dave, you want to say something? Okay.
Other than Greenland, I heard it was for sale, and maybe Trump is looking to the future when it turns green again.
Again, it always bothers me as to, I want to know the facts. I met a person last week when we were in vacationing with my grandchildren, and he said, he said he watches my show on the app, and he wasn't too happy with Trump, and I said, okay, fine, tell me the reasons why. And then he has 3 businesses. They're doing extremely well. He's hiring people, and he's Jewish, and he has morality. He is pro-life. And I said, what's your problem? I said, I don't understand. There are more people working. There's more African-American people working. There's more Hispanic people working, which means it gives them pride to be able to work and support their families. Here's a guy that wants to protect unborn babies, okay? So tell me, what is wrong with the opposite, okay? I said, so he looked at me and he said, Sammy, you're right. And I said, well, no, I said, I'm not trying to tell you who. I said, I just have to, is he perfect? No. When you're looking at facts, I mean, how do you argue with facts, Gregory?
Well, and you mentioned your app. I pulled out myself my Android.
Folks, listen to that.
So this is important for your listeners. They can get, I have a smartphone app, just search for Inconvenient Facts. Right. We've gone on 50,000 downloads. It's a powerful, powerful tool. We rolled it out on the Glenn Beck show, and 2 days later, 2 days after that, Apple pulled it off the App Store, and it just blew up. And the sales of the book skyrocketed. But the app, it's back now available for Apple at the App Store. It's a powerful, powerful tool to get all 60 Inconvenient Facts in your smartphone. I've got original videos that I've created that are linked to most of these. powerful tool I'd
Well,
recommend.
folks, I'm going to tell you, the book is called, Sammy put it up, Inconvenient Facts, the Science that Al Gore Doesn't Want You to Know. And I want to, before I go to break, I want to ask you this. Has NBC called you to interview you?
I'm still waiting for that call.
Okay. Has ABC called you to interview you?
Again, I'm waiting by the
Has
mic.
MSNBC called you for an interview?
No, I'm afraid not.
And well, yeah, of course, yeah. So here again, they want to stay away from anything that is against their agenda, and how phony they become. I'm embarrassed to be in this business sometimes. Thank God we produce locally neighborhood shows, Dave, that affect people in our area. But when you look at the broadcast today, I don't even watch the national news anymore because you know it's slanted, it's lying to you. Then they do these fake polls on top of it, you know. You probably experienced that.
Okay. Well, can I just say, I think the biggest loser in this debate, and yes, there is a debate on this, the biggest loser in the debate is the scientific process. The scientific process has been abused and distorted and turned in its face by scientists that are either making up things or distorting the science that we need to, that it's out there, and it's a shame.
Folks, I'm talking to Gregory Wrightstone. The book is Inconvenient Facts, the Science that Al Gore Doesn't Want You to Know. It's a fabulous book. The app, just do the app. He has all the facts here. As I said before, facts are ugly things. Hey, all you wacko liberals out there, I know you're all excited, and I know you're jumping up and down, but we're going to talk about facts, okay? And the facts is that your media stations, you know, those media stations that are lying to you every day, okay, have lost credibility, We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, you get to watch all of our shows on ssptv.com. Now, when you go to the app, you're going to notice that when you hit the app that you're looking at, it'll take you right to our website. We get all of the information. The shows are right there. Just hit any show you want. And, of course, my email is sam@ssptv.com. Well, if you just tune in, we have a very interesting guest, folks. He's been around a long time, and he's going all over the country talking about his book, Inconvenient Facts, the Science that Al Gore Doesn't Want You to Know. It's interesting. The app is Inconvenient Facts, so get that app. And he lists all of the inconvenient facts. So Gregory Wrightstone, you have how many inconvenient facts?
There's 60.
60. Okay. So let's talk about some of the most popular inconvenient facts. Give me the.
Yeah, if I'm sitting on the plane next to somebody that says, "Whoa, what are you talking about?" I'll show them the chart of carbon dioxide data. Now, carbon dioxide data, that's the focal point of what we're talking about. That's focal point of the Green New Deal, the Paris Climate Accord. They believe, they being the IPCC and others, say that human increases in carbon dioxide are driving temperature increases that will then lead to catastrophic consequences. So everything is focused on reducing carbon dioxide output. So as a geologist, I put things in the longer term perspective. The one chart I show 140 million years of carbon dioxide data that shows that it's almost a straight line decline from 2,500 parts per million down to, at the end of the last ice age, we got to the lowest carbon dioxide level since the Precambrian period, 172 parts per million. And why is that impactful? Because at 150 parts per million, that's what I call the line of death. That's the minimum threshold for plant life to exist. We nearly got there fairly recently in the geologic record. So we've declined from 2,500, we're at about 400 right now. Well, we've added, I'm going to a lot of numbers here, we've added 130 parts per million since the Industrial Revolution, and that's what they're worried about. We've lost 2,000 parts per million at the time when the plants that we rely on for most of our crops actually evolved. They want higher CO2 levels. It drives food production, it drives growth. It's called CO2 fertilization effect. Plants grow faster, bigger. They actually, one of the key elements here with high CO2 levels, they need less water. And because of that, the water's left in the ground, soil moisture increases, and that's leading to a decline in fires and drought. And your viewers have never heard that.
No.
So that's one of the key inconvenient facts of the benefits, the many benefits of rising CO2. And it's not even close. And if you look on the back of my SUV that's parked outside, I've got a bumper sticker on the back that says, I heart CO2. And I left you a sticker here that are very popular, my I love CO2 stickers.
Give me another inconvenient fact that you think...
Well, if we look, I like to look over the last 10,000 years of temperature data.
Dave was born then, I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah.
Way back when.
And if we look, that's relevant because that's from the end of the last ice age until now. And we find that there were 9 other warming periods. Again, we're in a warming period. It started 300 years ago.
So here's what you hear. You hear about, it's a warming trend that's happening, and and again, they emphasize the hurricanes and the fires, etc. And that really alarms everybody. Oh my God, this is the world's coming to an end.
Yeah, they talk about, this is the warmest month of the warmest year of the warmest decade of the warmest century, and
Al Gore said, "See, I told you."
Right, in history.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. We've been in a warming trend that's been warming in fits and starts. There really has been virtually no warming since the year 1998. It's been relatively flat. But yeah, if your record only goes back to 1850, which is really when the thermometer record starts, yeah, we are warmer today than we have been for 150 years. Yeah, that's true. But you need to put that in the bigger context. These warming and cooling trends you have to look at them in thousands of year cycles, because these go between each warming trend, there might be 900 or 1,000 years. The other warming trends, think about this. One thing that people like to have historical references, how warm it was in the time of Christ. The Romans, in the Roman warm period, the Romans were growing citrus in the north of England near Hadrian's Wall. You can't grow citrus in England now. So that's just a great example. They were growing a grain called millet in Scandinavia, which is now only able to be grown in tropical and subtropical areas. It had to have been a lot warmer. Vikings are still buried deeply in the permafrost in Greenland. It had to have been a lot warmer at that time, and the Vikings were farming barley in great fields there that are now covered with snow and ice. So these things, they're preaching alarm when I see and they say that our temperatures today are unusual and unprecedented, and that's what they need you to believe. Where in actuality, we see that the other warming trends are very similar to what we're seeing today.
Inconvenient facts, folks. The science that Al Gore doesn't want you to know. Gregory Wrightstone did a lot of homework on this, and again, your frustration, you must bounce off your chair when you listen to some of these news reports.
Let me give you one example.
Yeah.
Just a month ago, there was a UN report that predicted that there will be 1 million extinctions over the next several decades. My alarm started going off. My BS detector started flashing, and I said, wait. I looked at the very same data, the UN report, and it was really well publicized. I looked at the exact same data. So they're predicting 1 million extinctions over the next several decades. That would require 25,000 to 30,000 extinctions per year. I looked at the data and found the same data, and I found that extinctions were actually in significant and severe decline since the early 20th century. And I'm not going to make you guess. The average for the last 40 years per year, remember that there has to be 25,000 to 30,000 extinctions to get to where they want. They average 2 per year, not 2,000, not 200, 2 extinctions per year using the exact same database. And I just exposed it. And I have exposed,
I'm sure NBC was interviewing you.
Well, it came out, there was a Senate hearing, or House hearing it was actually, U.S. House of Representatives. Mark Morano and Patrick Moore were there, and Mark used, both of those referenced my work that I had done, saying these guys are full of crap. Yeah. They're lying to you. And the guys were sitting there going like this. They didn't know what to say. They'd been exposed.
It's so sad. It's so sad. The word, I don't even know what the word is anymore. When I see how they lie, and it's gone to the point where it's just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Dave, you live with that, every day. Being a coroner, Schuylkill County coroner. I'm glad that Dave brought you on the show. I'll be playing the show a number of times. I do want comments, but you see, if ideology Gregory, is a difficult thing, because when people are ingrained with an ideology, okay, even though I don't know how any Roman Catholic today could be a Democrat because of what the Democrat platform is, okay, but when you say that, you get really crazy people, even some priests, okay, and bishops and cardinals. What do you mean? You know, okay, but when you look at the platform of what these facts are. Now, I know Senator John Udicek, great guy. He should be a Democrat. He doesn't like when I say that, but the point is, he's a great guy. Doesn't have those same immoral values that the platform has. I'm not making this stuff up. That's what it is. I applaud you for writing this book. I wish you the best. Dave, thank you so much for bringing him on the show. I didn't know anything about you until he told me, but I know a lot about you now. Okay. Anything you'd like to tell our viewers in closing?
I'd encourage them to go to my website, which is inconvenientfacts.xyz. If they don't go anywhere else, go to my video page. I've got the one must-see video is a video on the relationship between the witch hunts in the late Middle Ages. There were 30 to 40,000 witches killed, and its relationship to temperature and climate. Fascinating.
A lot of interesting things. Thanks for coming on this.
Thank you.
Gregory Wrightstone, folks, the book, here it is, Inconvenient Facts. The science that Al Gore doesn't want to know. The main media, they don't want to know about facts. They just want to lie to you every day, and just so they can get the power and ruin the country like it was 8-9 years ago. We'll see you next time.